Up next, we will have Ms. Crystal Crawford representing herself, and on deck will be Ms. Brenda Dickinson from the Home Education Foundation. Ms. Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you. I understand that there's an amendment to address some of the concerns with the instructional materials, but even with the clarification, I still have concerns, and I would like to take a moment to voice those. As a parent, I was deeply upset to read that instructional materials are being limited to only equipment for the core subjects. Lessons and classes are not the only valuable resource for homeschooling families for electives. I'm a mom of 4. We have been schooling our children for over 7 years, and as of this school year, 3 of our children, ages 13, 10, and 8, all have the PEP scholarship. We are a low-income family. Though we've always managed to piece together a well-rounded education for our children using free or very low-cost resources, our primary motivation for applying for the PEP scholarship was the additional opportunities this represented for our children, especially in areas like art, music, and along with enhanced access to hands-on resources, because 2 of our kids are very hands-on learners, not only for the core subjects, but also for things like computer skills, foreign language, character development, and critical thinking. We were very financially limited, and it broke our hearts as parents to not be able to provide our children opportunities to pursue their passions and interests. The extra financial support from PEP allowed us to make those opportunities real for them this year. This year, we were able to innovate our approach to learning, and as a direct result of the PEP funds, my daughter, who loves to paint, was able to get paints and canvases and art books to practice at home with. My daughter, who loves singing, was able to get a pre-recorded standalone online singing course, which falls under the instructional materials category in Step Up's purchasing guide. Lessons from a vocal coach, but pre-recorded, that she can practice and learn techniques at home. Some of my kids are very hands-on learners, as I said, and PEP allowed me to buy arts and craft supplies to take a non-conventional approach to spelling practice with them. So it has worked amazingly well for them. They've been spelling words with letter beads and forming letters out of pipe cleaners and very hands-on ways of practicing spelling. None of those things would qualify as typical equipment for language arts. One of my daughters wants to learn fashion design, and the other loves sewing. I was able to purchase a child's sewing machine and fashion design books through the Scholar Shop, and they've been working on designing clothes together. They're excited to start a business one day. We were able to buy hands-on learning manipulatives to help my kids learn Spanish, a jump rope and activity cards for at-home PE activities, educational books about music, art, critical thinking, and character building, and more. All of these opportunities were made possible for our family only because of PEP funds this year. And almost all of these are electives, and all of them fell within the instructional materials category in the purchasing guide. Educating at home doesn't always look the same as public school. PEP parents need the flexibility to adapt their child's education to the way that best fits their unique situation, interests, and needs. If the legislature has given parents money to direct the education of their child, they need to also trust these parents to make those innovative decisions for how to use those funds to best serve their families. Art, music, PE, and other electives are important aspects of any well-rounded education, but the supplies and equipment for some of these are cost prohibitive for many homeschooling families, not just the lessons, but the actual supplies and equipment. I would hate for my children to lose access to those resources and opportunities that have been such a blessing for us this year. Please reconsider the limitation of instructional materials to include only equipment for the core subjects. I believe that this change does not align with the intention of PEP for the first place, which was to ensure that homeschooling children like mine and so many others would have access to the same valuable educational opportunities as students in public or private school, while also still allowing the parents to direct their child's education in the way that best fits each child's individual situation and needs. I oppose this bill as written, but I look forward to working with the sponsor to address these concerns. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Up next, we have Ms. Brenda Dickinson from the Home Education Foundation.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Leader Valdez. As many of you know, I've been around for a very long period of time. We started working in 1984 on getting the first choice program in Florida passed, which was the home education law. Since then, I have worked very hard to create opportunities for those children to be able to have access to many of the opportunities that public and private school students have taken and have the opportunity to participate in. I like a couple of the provisions in this bill, but I think it doesn't go far enough. So I'm going to oppose it as it is written, but I really look forward to working with the sponsor in order to get some of these issues that we are concerned about taken care of. For example, I think that there needs to be a lot more amendments to this bill to address the issues such as dual enrollment, extracurricular activities, Bright Future scholarships that the PEP students have access to, but they only have access to it in last year's bill with, it says, the same freedoms and opportunities as those students in section 1002.41, which is home education. Well, these other agencies that administer these different programs that home educated students have access to had no idea how to implement that because there was no guidance in statute. And I think that one of the most difficult areas that we had was in dual enrollment, and the state colleges didn't know what to do. So we need to go back into those statutes and add PEP students and then add how it is that they're supposed to participate. So there are a number of those privileges that I've worked really hard to get for home education students, but in passing those bills, we worked out all the mechanics prior to passing the bill. And this bill didn't address those issues. So if you're going to give them the same privileges, you need to amend those other sections of law that pertain to it. That's one big problem that I see with this bill, and it's going to take a little work, but not a whole lot of work. We can do this. The second thing that I think is really important is for the legislature to take the responsibility for what parents can spend their funds on. It's as though that the legislature in some of the amendments and the way it's been implemented by the SFOs, they don't trust parents. So why would you give parents money and the freedom to spend the money, but you've micromanaged the expenditures because you've delegated the responsibility of the legislature to the SFOs? I believe that the SFOs need to be a funding organization. They take the money, they distribute it to parents. Why would you allow the private schools to receive a lump sum of money for that child, and they can provide all the extracurricular activities and everything that they think that child needs, but you're going to limit it in a PEP program, or even as it's all tied together now in an FESUA. I'm really concerned that the limitations don't spill over into the FESUA because those are very unique children and their parents know best what that child needs. So my recommendation would be that you spell out exactly what you want these funds in the PEP program to be spent on. And it was a nice attempt in the amendment. I don't think that wording is quite right, but
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up.
okay. So I think that limitation of the SFOs and not giving them the right to do the guidebook, which the two guidebooks with the different SFOs are extremely different, which makes parents not know what they can spend. The last point is we
really need to wrap it up.
Definitions. We need definitions for the home education program in statute for the home education instructional programs. We also need micro schools. We need some definitions in this bill. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for your comments.